Welcome to a new daily top Askreddit video. Today's topic: how would you feel about at least one presidential primary debate being replaced with a history/civics themed contest of Jeopardy between the candidates? People who are saying it wouldn't have much value may have a point, but it wouldn't be any more useless than the bullshit they do now. Edit: if you can find it, look up the very first TV debate between Richard Nixon and JFK. They discussed substantive positions and laid out clear policy differences in a respectful, somber manner. Now it's all just angling for one-liner sound bites that they hope will get airplay in the next news cycle. I think it would be better to replace a debate with a round-table discussion like they have with directors, where the politicians just sit around and talk for a few hours with a moderator directing the conversation and making sure everyone has a turn in the spotlight and that it doesn't devolve into a bunch of tryhards trying to get good sound bites. It would also make it possible for the candidates to have a more nuanced discussion of each other's policies and actually highlight the similarities/differences. Instead of making the primary into a cockfight, the round table would make it more of a collaborative event. Even if it is just for a single evening. Not sure what you got up your sleeve with that comment, Mr. Pewty. Personally, I would prefer a debate in which the candidates are given a subject, 3 to 5 minutes to go over their plan, and use facts, data, charts, and other tools to prove their point. I am sick of this unsubstantiated bullshit that is presented and not backed up. This has been my view for over 20 years, I'm 40. Maybe I am crazy, I am just sick of this 30 to 60 seconds of arguing with no support. To answer your question, I would watch the shit out of your proposal as well. I still don't think 3 to 5 minutes is enough. In my perfect world, candidates would make hour-plus-long videos about their policies and why, and we could go to their website to watch them, or Facebook or something, so we can fully understand where they are coming from and if we agree with their logic and approach. I think an hour plus is too long for it to be the only way to get that. Give them 15 minutes to clearly articulate their point, then have the rest separately available for people who want even more. It may reflect poorly on me, but I don't trust people to last longer than 15 minutes when it comes to watching that stuff. No, just because I can't stand the thought of Bernie thinks the capital of Alaska is Anchorage. Trump doest know the year Montana was founded. Warren doest even know where Guam is. What is Aleppo? A delicious pepper from the Aleppo area in Syria. Not much. What's Aleppo with you? This sort of reminds me of when we, Finland, were having a presidential election where the two final candidates appeared on a comedy quiz show about current events, our version of Have I Got News For You. The candidate who was much more funny in the show won the election, and the other candidates' people would complain that voters seemed to have been sold on basically impromptu humor and a good performance in TV, as if that sort of thing didn't already swing elections whether they are on a comedy show or not. The suggestion in this thread is at least about something more important than just the week's news, so why not do it? There would be a huge incentive to intentionally throw for comedic value. Start saying obviously wrong joke answers, you appear likable, and at the same time invalidate the score, so if you lose it's whatever. I guess with European-style quiz panel shows, that's not really even considered throwing it. The jokes are the point of the show, and if someone seriously plays to win, they are doing it as a sort of subversive meta-joke. Even if the host is ostensibly keeping score, no one cares about points or prizes. Sounds really biased toward people who know things. I like it. Probably more useful in the general though. Sounds really biased toward people who know things. Yeah. It would be really great to have a president who knows things. I would rather have the president be able to focus on modern-day politics and relevant things as opposed to historical trivia. Edit: due to the attention this comment is getting, here is what I would do. Have a standard test that all candidates are taking live. A question appears. The candidates each get 30 seconds to answer. They all answer the same question, maybe on whiteboards. All the questions have to do with something relevant to modern-day politics. This way all candidates are on equal footing. It wouldn't be on obscure events either. It would have to do with major changes to some political systems in place. Final tallies of correct answers are shown at the end of the night. Maybe even make it a play-along. You could have people play along to compare their scores to the candidates. Presidential candidates, do they know things? What do they know? Let's find out. I choose business ethics. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul. Okay, a simple no would done just fine. Our political system is already a joke, so have Will Ferrell host as Alex Trebek and I'm in. I support this fully, but only if Norm Macdonald is allowed to participate as Burt Reynolds, while wearing an oversized novelty foam cowboy hat. I think you mean Turd Ferguson, he changed it, remember. I would like candidates to pass a basic civics test, and affirm some basic facts. People who cannot accept well-established facts should not be qualified. I'd like to throw in also that people who use Christianity as a political tool should be able to answer basic questions about the Bible, and / or have a favorite specific Bible verse that's not John 3:16. Personally, I'm fond of Ezekiel 23:20-21. There she lusted after her lovers, whose genitals were like those of donkeys and whose emission was like that of horses. Technically, in most of the US, a basic civics exam is required, prior to graduating high school. And yet we still have college freshmen unable to name 2 out of 3 federal branches. How would you feel if we make a subreddit for this kind of questions? And banned them on this one? r/theoretical. I thought, how would you feel questions were banned from this sub? Mods enforcing rules. Get outta here. It got unpopular, so mods ain't gonna do shit. That actually sounds phenomenal. It would really showcase their knowledge. And there's no way to dodge a question, either. On the other hand, knowing the capital of North Dakota is of far less value than a policy platform with substantive direction. Too bad that most of the policy-minded people also typically know stuff. ITT, Redditors feeling extremely smart for thinking this is a good idea. Seriously, this is the stupidest thing. Almost all of these how would you feel if scenarios are stupid. It's almost like people do it on purpose. That's these how would you feel questions in a nutshell. Someone has what they think is a brilliant idea and it sounds fine on the surface, so they post it here. Except when you actually stop to think about it, it's an idiotic or silly idea. How would you feel about people having to pass a test before they can have kids? 27.5 Kelvin upvotes. Eugenics. You're talking about eugenics. What, are you going to forcibly sterilize those who answer incorrectly? Very smart as always, Reddit. How about a debate where the participants are legitimately challenged on their positions and inadequacies on a variety of topics, with follow-up questions from the moderator that call out bullshit, and most importantly, equal time? Mr. Biden, do you have any regrets about the numerous crime bills you sponsored in the Senate that have shown a dramatically negative effect on our nation's poorest and most marginalized groups? How can you assure voters you won't champion similar efforts as president? Mr. Buttigieg, you have zero experience in foreign policy or international diplomacy. How do you think other countries, allies and adversaries alike, might try to take advantage of that? Instead we get Mr. Sanders, why is capitalism bad? 5-minute stump speech, Mr. Biden, why is that wrong? 5-minute corn pop speech, Mr. Young, we are going to break. The moderators shouldn't control the debates. This type of questioning allows them to control the debate and promote ideas that they want instead of the candidates. The moderator shouldn't say whether crime bills were good or bad or really insert any opinions into the debate. But how will the voters know what to think without the media shoving it down their throats? You son of a bitch, I'm in. Has this post inspired you to throw your hat in the race? Or do you want to host? If they don't want to, I call dibs. I would absolutely love to host. It wouldn't prove who knows something, just who can buzz in faster. Ken Jennings said the key to winning was to ring in then try to dredge his mind for the answer in the few seconds he had to answer. Theoretically a written test would be better, but the whole thing would be rigged and one or more of the candidates would be fed the questions in advance, thus defeating the purpose of the exercise. But if they can answer in 3 seconds, they still know the answer. If they buzz and don't know it at all, then the question is passed to the other players. /r/circlejerk. Reddit, how would you feel if everyone received a free, government-appointed sexy gamer girl GF? This question format is annoying and should be banned. What are how would you feel questions? That's right. Yes. But it would be even better in the general election. When would they brag about their penises? That's the bonus round. I teach citizenship classes to immigrants. When I read the questions from the naturalizatio test to my friends and family who were raised in the US, most of them can't answer everything. In 8 years of bringing this up at random parties, I've met one American who can name the 5 major non-state territories that the US owns. Most of them only pass question 87, name an American Indian tribe, because they've heard of Apache helicopters. And until the Hamilton soundtrack hit the charts, nobody could name the authors of the Federalist Papers. Whenever one of them flunks, I suggest, and I'm only half joking, that all Americans should take this test when they turn 18, and if you fail, your birthright citizenship should be transferred to an immigrant who passed. After all, we drill into immigrants that citizenship is a privilege and a responsibility as well as a right. Why should it be different for people who were born here? Name the 5 major non-state territories that the US owns. Virgin Islands, Guam, Puerto Rico, Marshall Islands and Samoa. Checked after guessing. 4/5 isn't bad, especially considering I knew it was somewhere in Micronesia till. Absolutely no way most people would get more than a couple. Indeed, you did better than many people I meet. Most people get as far as Puerto Rico. Virgin Islands. I asked my parents once if they think the problem is that the 5th one was part of the Trust Territory of the Pacific, along with the Marshall Islands, Micronesia, etc. Until the late 1970s, so maybe some baby boomers never realized their status had changed. My mom said, if you meet anyone from my generation who even remembers the TTP existed, let me know.